If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good morning. It is Saturday, October 21st. It's the HHH Racing Podcast. It is Keeneland today. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz. Thank you very much for joining us this morning as I'm joined by the host of Bet and Boozin', Kyle Roscoe, and co-host Bet and Boozin' from the University of Kentucky, Noah Maher. Gentlemen, good morning. How are we doing today?
Good morning. That's 3 shows in a row for me. If you're keeping track at home, I'm in for the long haul.
Kyle, is that why you sound a little? I know you're a little under the weather. Let's get rid of that sickness before you go to the Breeders' Cup. We're working you hard, man.
Yeah, blame the beautiful fiance for making this. It may sound a little bit like Morgan Freeman this morning. So, but we'll be fine.
That comment ought to go well when she watches the replay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Noah, how you doing today?
Pretty good.
Wonderful. So as usual, Pete and Paul are being lazy and they're not here and they're, so I was like, well, what do I do now? Of course, I call my trusty Ben and Boozin' guys. In all seriousness, Pete is out of town on vacation. Paul is busy doing some refereeing and some other things. So I'm happy to have you guys, of course. To say filling in sounds extremely disrespectful, to actually give everyone some excellent analysis on the early pick 5 here at Keeneland today. And also we're going to very briefly cover the 2 stake races, the Perryville and the Grade 2 Raven Run. Guys, very quickly, a lot of things. First, make sure people subscribe on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Hit that notification bell. And also smash that like button. We'd really appreciate it. That'll, of course, send everyone to this wonderful podcast that we've been working very hard on. Guys, almost 3 years, believe it or not, is when I started this show. It's really hard to believe. And coming up on 300 episodes. Really, technically, we've had more than that, but in terms of numbering out the flagship shows coming up on 300. Guys, you can also, of course, listen. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kyle.
No, I was just saying it's almost a year for for us.
Yeah,
it's
getting close to
on
50.
that too.
And you guys are coming up on 50. Yeah, we'll have to talk about the 50th Bet and Boozin' show. That'll be exciting. People can listen on Apple Podcasts, of course, Spotify, and Anchor. Breeders' Cup, Power Pick, Tip Sheet. Kyle, why don't you very briefly just talk about what we got going on? We've got a lot of people already subscribed. Do not wait until it's too late. This is a great deal for everyone to smash the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it so many times already, but those of you who have been around for last year, you guys know how in-depth we went last year on the Breeders' Cup. We had full write-ups for every single Breeders' Cup. That's 14 write-ups, and this year we're going to do the same. We're going to have 14 massive write-ups. We're going to have full price plays, spot plays, grid plays. Anything that you need to smash the Breeders' Cup is going to be on this Power Picks tip sheet. And not to mention, how much does it cost, Howard? Like what? Like $20, I think?
Banner games. I don't remember. Wow, that's it?
Only 20.
Like DRF and some. I would love DRF, by the way, but I've seen other like $70, $80. Come on, people.
For both days, $20 only for both days. Like, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's going to be, like I said, fully in depth. Every single Breeders' Cup race is going to have a full write up only for $20. If you guys aren't subscribed, you guys are missing out.
Nah, I mean, it's been doing very well. I had some nice scores last week along with Paul and Pete. So I really highly recommend it. And again, it's not the gospel. It's just our opinion. Use it as a guide. But, we really work hard on it. We'd really appreciate everyone at least, looking into the possibility of buying it, if not buying it itself. I really think you're going to get a lot of great intel on that. Let's very quickly, Noah, I'll let you do this. We got a lot of shows come up, Noah, and you're going to be part of some of these shows as well as, of course, Kyle. But on the screen, people are going to see right now our shows coming up. I'll just go ahead and scroll down. You can briefly just mention what people should be checking out, Noah, on the podcast here in the next 2 weeks.
Well, you guys should be checking out all of it. I mean, we're bringing you guys so much good information for the Breeders' Cup, as well as special guests coming on, including the Dorman family that Paul is good friends with and has written the book about, and then Davey Lane next Wednesday, who absolutely crushed it last year with the Euros.
Yes, he did.
And then
the year before, for that matter.
Yeah, and then the week leading up to the Breeders' Cup, we got pre-draw reaction, post-draw reaction, and then huge coverage of both Friday and Saturday. So you guys should definitely not miss it.
And Noah, you'll be part of these shows that people see on the screen, along with, of course, Patrick, Kyle, and Charlie.
Yeah, we're going to be having 2 surprise interviews who Kyle and I don't know yet, but sounds like they're pretty prestigious in their own right. And then we'll be covering the early pick 5 for both Friday and Saturday, and then the infamous 2-day pick 6. So that'll be pretty fun to cover.
Well, just to clarify, those 2 tape shows are actually being done by myself and Paul. Guest TBA, but let's just say if we get one of the guests we're hoping for, I think it's arguably the biggest guest we've ever had on our show. If it happens, which we're hoping to do that. And you guys, of course, are covering. Speaking of the pick 6, we got some exciting news coming to all of our email list. If you'd like to be on our email list, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I highly recommend you do that. I don't send out like 10 emails a day. I don't bother you and inundate you with unnecessary emails, but please go to HHH, email at the bottom, hkravitzhorse@gmail.com. Again, hkravitzhorse@gmail.com. If you want to get on our email list for some information that we don't always make public to everyone for various reasons about the show and whatnot. So please just go and email me and say you'd like to be on the email list. All right, guys, let's get to, I think that covers pretty much everything we have going on. So let's get right to the picks there. Now you got to give me a second because I got to do this and okay, here we go. Early pick 5. First impressions, Kyle, as I go ahead and click to some banners here. Early impressions on today's early pick 5. Again, we don't have scratches yet. Kyle, Noah, anyone watching at home, we got a lot of people watching at home listening. When the scratches come up, please feel free to put them in the chat so we know. Speaking of the chat, sorry, Kyle, before I get to your thoughts here, let's see what we got here. Robbie Courtney, let's roll. Guten Morgen, HHH Tribe. What's up, Robbie? Thanks for joining the show. Of course, we got Katie, meaning Temple, I believe. Ralph Conti is here. Of course, the show wouldn't be without Michael Austin. Horsey Dave, I missed you.
Yeah,
released from the hospital. Wow, Horsey Dave, I'm glad you're doing better. Congrats on getting out of the hospital. Can't think of a better way to celebrate that than joining the HHH Racing Podcast this morning. We got David is here. Steve Grutner is here. Get the James Brown Award. Hardest working guy. I try. We got a lot of shows coming up. Jim Pillars is here. And, of course, we got the Latin American crew. Jose Manuel Camacaro. Saludo. Hello, Venezuela, amigo. Hoy en la primera carrera. Three wins. Wow, very good. Welcome to Venezuela. Jose, thanks for joining the show. Finally, Jeff Wilson is here. All right, Kyle, quick impressions on the early pick 5 when you first looked at it.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, there is a lot of chalk in this early pick 5, as you'll see, but there's a lot of horses that the thing that I notice is there's a lot of horses that don't like to pass anybody, especially in these lower level maiden claiming races. And even in the first race, the 62.5, it's just like they'll sit back, but they just don't like to pass anybody. So my angle has kind of been gravitating towards those on the front end. But obviously, I'd love to see your guys' opinions as well. And I mean, at least we're in agreement pretty much to the first leg. So,
well, and also I saw someone. I don't think we've seen Norman. Norman, how you doing, man? Yeah, thank you, Norman. Guys, hit that like button. I'm looking right now. We got only 12 likes. I mean, if you're watching the show, you like the show. In theory, right? No, I mean, just general common knowledge there. So please smash that like button. Thank you, Norman. We'd appreciate it. Let's get to the first race, guys. Opening up the pick 5 today, of course, noon starting time, claiming 62.5, 6 furlongs, older horses, small field of 7, Moorline favorite, pretty heavy is Mac Daddy 2, Pennsylvania bred Norm Cassie, Luis Saez, Kyle, that you and I are not messing around. We're going chalk to open up the day.
Yeah, and I mean, if you go to his form, you can just see why he's so formidable and gets Luis Saez back up, as you guys know, especially in a spot where I mentioned there's not too many horses that like to pass. Getting one of the most aggressive and hard riding riders out there to ride a Norm Cassie horse who's just been absolutely on fire these past few meets he's been a part of. I mean, just coming off of optional claiming allowance races at Ellis and Churchill, won at Ellis, got second at Ellis, and then at 11-1, still ran decently well, was on the inside speed and just kind of faded back at the end. But this time going back to 6 furlongs, which I think is what he's best at, and just ultimately hoping Saez can just sit off or clear to his inside and just never look back.
He seems very logical to me. I didn't think there was a ton of early speed, just stalking
Mhm.
pounds. Everyone knows now. Kyle and I are a little bit different with our handicapping in the sense that Kyle's probably a little more willing to take favorites than I am. I think that's fair to say. There's no right or
Yep.
wrong. There's many ways to win at this game. I'm very happy to take chalk when I think it's logical, but I also like to beat chalk probably a little more than Kyle. I'm not going to try to do it here with Mac Daddy too. Just seems very logical, in good form. No, a few people have been mentioning it's 70 and sunny. What I heard today, Keeneland. Fortunately, you guys finally, I say fortunately because you guys needed it down there. You did get a decent amount of rain the last day and a half. Yesterday was just a quagmire on the main, and they were off the turf. I'm guessing it'll be fast, or at least good on the main track, turning into fast. And then the turf probably good is a guess, Noah?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I can't bring you guys that insider information because I'm currently not in Lexington.
Oh, he's at home.
These last couple of shows, I've been kind of changing up the location on you guys. But yeah, I agree. It looked like, from what I could see, the sun was out for the majority of the card yesterday, and we shouldn't have had any moisture since kind of that debacle Thursday afternoon. I would agree. I would think dirt would probably leaning towards fast, kind of towards the end of the card, and then turf most likely
Okay.
good.
May I ask, are you in is this like FBI or kind of 007 kind of thing, or
You
may I
can't
ask
say his
where you are?
location.
No, it's my fall break, so I'm get to miss a few days of class. I'm in Denver, Colorado, because that's where my sister lives. So just
Nice. Okay,
visiting a
great.
sibling.
Very nice. Well, enjoy the beautiful Rocky Mountains there. I like Noah when people on the show tip out a horse that I don't have anywhere in the top three, and I'm serious about that because it does make me think. You're going to go with Vulcan for Chris Hartman and Arietta. Explain your reasoning here. 4-1 morning line.
Well, I have to go back to what Kyle said because I completely agree. Especially this race, I didn't really see a lot of horses that could pass. Ultimately, I thought the 3 was just, even though he doesn't have the fastest number on time form, I thought he was the fastest horse in general. Chris Hartman, been doing really well at the meet so far. This horse was on the turf last time. I'm not really sure why, but gets back to sprinting on the dirt, what he likes the best. And ultimately, the thing that kind of pushed me over the edge was that the 2 horses to the inside aren't really fast at all. So he shouldn't really have a problem, getting to the rail. But I agree with you guys. I think it's either the 3 or the 5 here. I just think maybe the 5 could be more fit on the cutback and second off the layoff.
I will say one thing about the 3. In theory, this horse will get the lead. He's just inconsistent. Maybe I should have him higher. The number 2 back at Ellis, we know Ellis is pretty speed favoring, but then he ran that kind of similar number 4 back at Oaklawn. He's an up and down type. I suppose he can win. I've got him in the mix, by the way. I do have him on my ticket. I'm just looking. I am right now as a C. I might move up to a B. I love the number 6, Comiskey Park. How about that, Kyle?
Yep.
People
And
might need to.
I
People may
mean,
not be.
you can see it from the races, and if you remember, that's an Arlington legend right there, Comiskey Park, because was in a race that I think probably 18 people or something like that tried to claim him off of a race. I'm sure half for the name and half for actual running lines, because he used to run decent at Arlington.
He's been actually at FanDuel. He's
Yep.
been an optional 10 and 15, and now they've got him an optional 62.5. That's an aggressive move. He's in good form. He's maybe doesn't class up, but I don't know. I think he's a bit interesting for me, and I have the 2 as a complete bomb in for third, only because I have respect for the connections second off the layoff, and DeSormo's known to pull some shit out of his ass once in a while. I don't think he's going to win, but anyway, Kyle, you got the 3 third. Real quick about the 7, then we're going to move on.
Yep. Canterbury legend, the
Yes.
alligator hunter. He's been winning stakes at the Minnesota bred has been winning stakes at Canterbury for 3 years running at this point.
Yeah, he's a cool horse.
But just another one that's going to be forwardly placed, and he's shown that he can rate in the past, although he does do his best running on the lead. I think he's good enough to catch a piece. Where I know Padilla hasn't had any winners, but there has been a few Canterbury horses that have come to Keeneland and won. So I'm going to be looking for just Alligator Hunter to kind of sit a stalking trip and maybe just close in underneath.
If your 3 gets the lead, you're right. There aren't a lot of horses that can pass, and I sort of misspoke. There is more speed in here than I thought. The break is going to be huge here, guys, because of if the 7 gets the lead, why can't the Alligator Hunter, who by the way won at a huge price on NHC day?
Yep, I do remember
NHC,
that.
Kyle, if you recall, and I was so pissed that I didn't have him because I
It's
followed this for a long time.
It's that optional claiming at Tampa right there.
Yeah, that's right. This race at their March 12th. Anyway, it's a pretty tough race, and I don't know. I think the 5 is logical, but it's goofy, guys. I'm using a bunch here. There's just a lot of horses I don't trust. For me, I'm going lone A5, and I'm using a bunch others in BC. I'm not going to talk details about my ABC ticket. That is why you need to subscribe to our Keeneland Power Picks, and you would get those. Let's go on to race 2, guys. We'll see our picks on the bottom of the screen. And the question here in race 2, there is going to be a very heavy favorite. How many people picked the huge Chad Brown drop down 6-5 shot in race 2? I'm sure some people that are watching right now have looked at the PPs, and if you've not, that's totally okay. But let's see how many of us picked the big 6-5 Chad Brown drop down. Oh, Noah. Noah. Look at my friend Noah.
Wow.
I don't know if we're gonna be right, but I'll tell you what, Noah. We great minds, similar minds, I don't know, stupid minds are thinking alike, because Noah and I are going the exact top 3. Kyle also has the same 3, but in different order. So
you want to know something funny? I also had the 4 on top. I had the 4 on top last night, and I switched it this morning because of the Chad Brown. Because I have some funny stats on the number 4, which I'll let you guys talk about first and see if you guys mention it. But
all right, well, no, we're gonna let you go first because you're the only one that has the 5. So we're gonna let you talk about the 5 first. Let me bring it up on screen. Look, the 5 is very logical here. This is maiden claiming 30,000, not the strongest, most talented horses at Keeneland. It is for the girls, 2-year-olds, going 6 furlongs. Big more than favorite, Dancing Nancy, 6-5, Chad and Drew. There's a ton of also eligibles. Scratches should be coming in relatively soon. Again, if anyone knows about scratches, please put them in the chat because they should be coming up pretty soon. You are going chalk as well as anyone, Kyle, who's named Nancy. We'll be betting the 5 most likely.
Yeah, I mean, look, just the most logical. Last time out at Saratoga, didn't run very well at all, but the horse that won that race, Candied, if that rings a bell to anybody, came back to Keeneland and won the Alcibiades earlier this meet. So that race was obviously live. Money Rockette's another one for Bill Mott, who's very highly thought of. It's just a matter of, why is Chad completely giving up on this horse, sending to Keeneland for 30K? And obviously he had this spot in mind too, because she's had 2 works over the Keeneland track. So Chad's had this spot in mind. It's just a matter of Chad just doesn't think she's good enough and can win at this type of price. I mean, LaPenta and Mataket don't necessarily need the money by any means. So, I mean, it's just Chad putting the filly in the spot where he thinks she can win.
Well, that's the thing. And I don't like this huge drop.
I agree.
They're basically giving up on a 2-year-old, just giving up, Noah, on a 2-year-old. But like you said, it's LaPenta. Shout out to Paul Halloran, by the way, Catholic boy fame, Bob LaPenta. Mataket Stables, Kyle, they've got monsters in their arsenal. Like, I'm not saying they don't care about this horse. Obviously, they care about every horse in their bar. But like you said, they don't really need the money, and they're just, they've got other fish to fry, so to speak, here, which is why I did almost pick the 5. There's no gaps in the works. There's nothing like alarming really other than the drop. But no, my thinking here, if you breathe on this horse, she might not win. Now, maybe she'll just wire the field because she's that much more talented. But I'm a little bit dubious. I'm going to try to get cheeky as you are, Noah, with the 4 Fasta La Vista Baby. 8-1, coming out of the same race as the 3, by the way, Ready for Trouble. I don't know if you watched that replay or not, but this is a much lower class they are racing in. However, Noah, and I'm sure you'll point this out, look at the class lines that Fasta La Vista Baby was running in before the last race.
Yeah, if you look at the last 2, just off the first 2, excuse me, just off the numbers, you would just kind of think that this horse hasn't really done much running at all. But then Ian Wilkes drops from special weight to claiming. And it's kind of unfortunate we can't watch the replay because the 3 in that race got the perfect trip down on the rail. And then while the 4 was a little bit further back and had to go wide in 6th path, and then did actually a lot of running late, which really intrigued me because the horse kind of started to gather itself and get going. So I'm kind of hoping that the Chad does get breathed on, and maybe a couple will go with, and this horse can kind of either go down on the rail like Lannery likes to do, or just kind of circle him and go by at the end.
Yeah. By the way, I just realized it's an hour earlier for Noah. He's really up early. Noah, I really appreciate it, man. Now I feel I actually bad a little bit, but anyway.
Denver's Mountain Time. Oh, 2 hours for you, though. Right. Yeah. You're right.
I'm sure you told me that, Noah, by the way, so I apologize. Anyway, I think the 2 can show speed. The 2's got no shot to win this race, but I'm hoping the 2 shows speed with the blinkers on. The 3 looks like she has to show speed. The sire, by the way, World of Trouble, was a serious turf sprinter. Of course, Kyle knows that because he's Mr. Turf Sprint.
That's right.
Not proclaimed him. I don't know. Look, for some bizarre reason, I just don't trust this 5, and maybe the 5 is just going to win very easily, guys. I also threw the 7 in there, Red Sundress, who's coming out of restricted main special. Didn't do any running, really. But is second time out now for Santana. I think he'll be better and was bet a little bit in that race. So I threw the 7 in there. I don't know. I just feel like this 5 is a bit vulnerable. Could be completely wrong. Any final thoughts, guys, in this race?
Well, I mean, I like the 7 as well. Just thought the same thing. Ortiz second time out, and the maiden claiming drop is 7 for 39. So in that 15% range with 16 in the money. So almost half the time gets in the money with this drop. So I'm definitely looking to Red Sundress to improve. And that stat I was touching on with the 4, Howard, was Marlene Scherer, the trainer that claimed off of Ian Wilkes. She has 6 wins in the last 5 years, but half of them have come off the claim. She's 3 for 14 off the claim in the last 5 years, and I believe 6 for 54 in the last 5 years. So
interesting.
It's a weird type of angle, but just trying to find anything in a group like this to beat.
Guys, look who's up this morning. Someone who's got nothing else better to do. I mean, the guy doesn't work at all anymore. Matt Miller. My guess is that he wants to stall for another horse. The move doesn't mean the horse will lose. I agree, Matt. The 5 is Dancing Nancy is clearly the horse to beat. I'm just trying to get a little bit cute. I have no idea if it's going to work. Robbie Courtney, thank you, buddy. Looks like we have scratches are in, guys. The AEs are out of race 2. We need race 1 information if everyone's got it. Noah, did you hear about this? It was announced by Keeneland. They're building a brand new paddock. They're starting the construction next year. I don't know if you saw the renditions of those or heard about that, but that's going to be pretty cool, Noah.
Yeah, I did hear that. I didn't look too much into it, but I know a lot of people in the area are really excited about it. Keeneland's not one of those places. It's kind of more like an older site rather than, Churchill gets a lot of new modifications. So it'll be cool to see kind of an improvement, not necessarily improvement, but, something new to like an old piece of horse racing history.
Yeah, no, it'll be an improvement. The last thing they built was the Keeneland Library in the early 2000s, which is, Kyle, I think I mentioned that to you as we were driving past it, which I've not had a chance to go in there, but I hear it's very cool. I'd like to do that sometime. All right, guys, let's go on to race 3. Race 3, let me bring up the banners here. in a minute. I'll bring up the banners. This is a maiden 20. As if the horse level at Keeneland, can't be too high. Let's go down to 20, which is the lowest I think I've ever seen for Keeneland. So again, these are not the most talented horses, but these horses deserve their shot to get into the winner's circle. Main 20, 6 furlongs, 3-year-olds and up. It's a huge field of 12. Let me hit the refresh button just in case scratches are in yet. They are. There we go. Okay, so we do have scratches now. I don't think they're being for DRF for a few minutes, but they are in for Equibase. The 9 Bad Boy for Life is out. You can see on the screen, and the 13 through 16. So it's going to be a field of 11 here. Morning line favorite is pretty big again. The number 2, Kingmaker for Moquette and Pratt. Let's see if our handicappers, our panel, is against this horse. I am not. Noah is not. Kyle, Mr. Chalk, is against this horse. Kyle, let's have you go first. You're going to go with the 12. Back to Reality. Hartman Torres. Go ahead.
Back to Reality. Oh, there goes Gravity for anyone that knows what I'm talking about. No, I got to laugh out of Noah, so therefore it works.
Wait, what?
It's lyrics to a song.
I know it's Eminem. Give me a break. I'm not as old as people think. It's classic.
I'm just giving you crap. It's all.
So why don't you sing a verse of that song?
I'll let Kyle do the singing.
Yeah, there we go.
Kyle?
And I will do the singing. Don't you worry about that.
Oh boy. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Oh wait, we just lost Kyle. I don't hear him right now. Wait, what? All right, now go ahead.
No, it's fine. A Kingmaker to you guys obviously is the most logical. Ran very well early in the year. I don't know what to make of it. I mean, ran last year at Keeneland horribly, right? Came back to Churchill, ran behind Elite Power. So, I mean, that's something. And then goes to Indiana, runs a 64 in August, and then is off till January, runs at Oaklawn, runs his best race since, early at Oaklawn, and then doesn't run again until now. I mean, working forwardly, I just don't know what to make of Kingmaker, especially off this massive drop. So I went with the number 12, Back to Reality. Hartman, Jaime Torres. I mean, just been granted, started out in a maiden 10, came to a maiden 16, but ran well enough. It's just a matter. I'm trying to find someone to beat the 2 because there's just a lot of weird points that I found with the 2, and Back to Reality has been running very well. And just being able to hasn't had a work since that last race, which I understand I also take that into consideration. But improving 3-year-old looking to run his best race of his life, and hopefully a mid-70s buyer somewhere low 70s can get that job done.
I was going to talk about some others, but actually, no, I want your opinion on the 12 because you have the 12 nowhere. I have reasons why I have the 12 only in third at best. I'd love to hear why you don't like the 12 at all, Noah.
Well, if I was playing a pick 5, I don't have a ton of confidence in the 2. So I would probably use, 4 or 5. So I would cover myself with the 12. The one thing that concerned me was just the level of competition that this horse has been facing. Maiden 16 at Churchill is not really all that great. And I just feel like he kind of got the perfect setup last time. And with that 12 post, I was just a little against him. He's got ability. In a field like this, basically anybody could win.
I didn't like the fact he got a perfect trip. Now he's got to go all the way to the 12 hole and has no work since. I mean, can he win? Sure. But Kyle, I think he's going to be second price here, I think. And I don't know.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Everything you said about Kingmaker is correct. And I'm going to let Noah talk about Kingmaker first. This is the kind of horse that usually would be like, I'd be completely against. Again, I'll let Noah go, and then I'll explain why I like this horse in this race, in this spot. Noah?
Yeah, just I had a similar feeling about the favorite in the last race. With this race, off the break and a huge drop. There wasn't really anybody in this field that I loved. And this horse has proven to run decent numbers in the past. Always a question whether the horse will run those numbers again off the layoff, but it's first time gelding. Just ran a bullet on October 8th, 48-4. So it looks like this horse has somewhat potential that it showed earlier in its career. And you get Pratt, just really no world beaters in here. So his horse is, the one to beat.
Default. You'll
Yeah.
hit the old default button. Kyle, this is why I'm talking about the library from Horsey Dave at Keeneland. Must go to the Keeneland Library. It's more like a museum. I remember I said that to you also, Kyle.
Yep.
Wonderful stuff. How about this? All DRF past performances since the 20s. I mean, how cool would that be? Like, oh, let's see what four go. Let's look at Man of War's peep. I mean, so you get a little bit of history at the Saratoga Museum, the National Hall of Fame of Racing. But there's a lot of really cool stuff in there. I definitely want to do that on my next Keeneland trip. Noah, this is why I have you and Kyle on the show, man. You guys, you hit all the points I want to make. The fact that Pratt's on this horse, let me go full screen. The fact that Pratt's on this horse, that he's been working consistently. He's got like every number. This is like a mega obvious horse because almost every number on his page is better than anyone in this field. He's run like 6 or 7 races already, much better than anyone in this field. And Pratt to me is a big deal. I mean, if it was, I don't want to be disrespectful to other jockeys. If it was a lesser known jockey, I'd be extremely dubious. Pratt is not going to jump on a horse that's lame or not ready to go or whatever. I don't know. Let me ask you guys this question, and then we'll move on. Are you more confident with Kingmaker in this race or Dancing Nancy in race 2? Kyle, I'll let you go first. Who's the more likely winner?
For me, the more likely winner is probably. I mean, I like Dancing Nancy more than I like Kingmaker, which obviously is very obvious by my picks, but right?
Yeah.
But Dancing Nancy for me.
No, you picked both. Oh, no, you didn't. You picked the 4 also like I did. But that doesn't mean we don't like the horse to win. I mean, I'll give you 10 grand of free entry into the BCBC. If you can tell me which one of those 2 is going to win today, who would you choose?
Well, if I was playing this pick 5, I'd probably spread more in this race rather than the last one.
Really? Okay.
So maybe to answer your question, I have less confidence in Kingmaker than the Brown.
Okay.
But yeah, both have question marks and certainly beatable.
Yep.
I think for me, the main thing is there's just so many horses in this race that we're looking at I don't like. And I thought there was some interesting fuzzies in race 2. Bourbon Fever, I've gotten second, guys. Noah, you've gotten third. Dropping down, coming off a decent effort, does have tackle speed. And see, Kyle, this is the kind of horse I much prefer over the 12 because of the class situation. Like the numbers look similar, the times look similar, but Bourbon Fever is going to break and look around and say, "Hey, I could beat these horses. These horses suck," as opposed to the 12, like, "Oh, these horses are actually decent." So, second off the layoff, the 7 is my sort of longer price horse in this race. You see, I do have the 12. Kyle, you got the 5. Anything else we want to talk about, either one of you, before we move on?
I mean, I'll go real quick. I mean, the 7 I think is a must use if you're playing horizontally as well. I think Bourbon Fever could show a little more speed than what he showed previously, especially in a field like this. So I think the 7 would be a must use. And I have Salevo, which great restaurant, by the way. But for Asmussen off the claim, just working forward lead, been working at Turfway Park. Just off the claim for Asmussen off that big drop and puts him into 20,000. I just think Steve could get him ready to go here. But like I said, it's going to be you can go so many different ways in this. You can make a case for a lot of these horses.
And you got Shockwave, Turf to Dirt. This is another drop down. No, these drop downs are always dangerous. I don't care. This horse hasn't run on dirt, isn't meant for dirt. I don't care. Drop down. I think the 11 is really interesting. I've got the 11 underneath also.
Yeah, well, Safi Joseph, Luis Saya is always dangerous. There's so many angles with this horse, special weight to maiden claiming, turf to dirt, route to sprint. The horse has been going a mile, so theoretically the horse should be somewhat fit, and Saez is probably going to put the horse in contention. So,
the thing is, Howard, I mean, not necessarily, but in a race with all those angles, you almost kind of want to treat this horse like not like a first time starter, but it's basically a completely new race, new setup, everything for this horse.
Yeah, I mean, again, fresh faces at this level are extremely dangerous. It's been an angle I appreciate. Let's go on to the next race, guys. This is a nice race. This is the first turf race of the day. And again, I'm assuming the turf's going to be listed good. It's going to have some give in it, but no, like we've said, it's been
Um,
pretty dry in Lexington, and
that-
they're not running up.
there's
Go
some
ahead.
No,
big
that's
there's some
correct.
big scratches in here.
Oh, all right. All right.
Um,
We'll get to. Hold on a second. Hold on.
okay.
We'll get
Well,
to it.
it's your top pick, so that's
What? Oh my Lord.
it's a 5-horse
All right.
race.
Well, here we go. Wow. What is going on with the why?
Whoa.
I don't understand. That's weird. Okay. We're down to a field of 5, folks. This changes everything for me.
Yep.
Everything. I am surprised that maybe these horses are cross-entered somewhere else. I don't know that. I'm assuming they can't be worried about the turf. I'm assuming it's on the turf. Do we know that for a fact?
I'm looking.
It's got to be on the turf.
Yeah, good. It's good. So
Okay.
it's Good Golf Channel, by the way. In case.
Yeah, that is a good golf channel, by the way. I agree with you. All right, interesting. Well, there we go. Let me bring the banners up, which are going to be totally have to change now because I absolutely loved Via Reggio in this spot. The 8, who is now out. So I'm going to have to change. We're not going to change the banners, guys. I'm just going to leave them up just so people can get an idea of what we thought originally, and then we'll just talk through. Because actually we can change the banners, but I'm gonna actually take these down. Why don't you guys give me let me go to the PPs here. Again, we're adjusting on the fly. It's only a 5-horse field. That does change a bit. It's a nice allowance race. It's also the start of the $3 all turf pick 3, and 6, 7, 8, 9 are out. So now it's a field of 5. So we can quickly go through it. It's for older fillies and mares, 140,000. Nice purse. You got Do You Love Me from the inside, who's going to show speed. Ouvre. This is a very talented Illinois bred, probably the best Illinois bred running right now. Actually, one of the better Illinois breds in the history of Illinois breds. 630,000 for Chris Block. You got Sweet Danny Girl, who's got a lot of speed. You have A Day in Asia, I believe it's pronounced, for Clement. And then you have Braganza, who has not been on turf. So let me bring you guys back on. Well, actually, I'll do partial. I'm going to go ahead and change the banners here as we speak. Let me go to you first, Kyle. Let me get to the banners here. Okay, Kyle, we need to make some adjustments here. You were 428, 42. Give me another number.
3.
Okay.
I think that's just.
No, you were 6 and 8 are both out. I need some changes, sir.
4, 3, 2.
4, 3, 2. Gosh, I hate this. This is just so annoying now. Because I was really against the 4 completely, but now, oh man, I'm gonna go 4, 2, 3. I say it grudgingly. All right, there's our picks. We're all going with the 4 now. Who I didn't even like as much in this race before the scratches. Noah, talk about A Day in Asia for Clement.
Well, I think Kyle actually had this horse on top, even without the scratches. But for me, it was just a horse that's going to get a really nice setup with the speed and the 2 and the 3. It's kind of funny because there wasn't really a ton of speed that got taken out. So the horses that got scratched were going to be coming on late. But Clement and Pratt, always respectable. I just like the fact that he proved he could go a mile last time. He was more of a sprinter with in the Royal North and in those couple optional flaming races. It proved that the horse can go the mile, sit off and close. Obviously a soft pick now in a 5-horse field.
Yeah.
Well, my problem is, and we're going to watch the replay, and you mentioned it already, Noah, I don't know if this horse wants distance. Okay, here's the race. Pretty fast pace. I mean, is this not the most perfect trip so far? I mean, just no one's around her, right? Yep, no one's around her. She is sitting on the inside. This Faith in Humanity was a big favorite that day, the 1. Here's, again, A Day in Asia. I'm going to go forward. Okay, she tips out. Like, what's her excuse now, guys? She should go by, and the 3-1 shot on the outside. I guess she runs fine. I mean, she runs well, but
she's digging in.
She fights. She's digging. This is the first time I've.
And she actually almost wins this race too. Which
she does dig back in.
But I mean, I
got an 85 buyer with a perfect trip, and I'm not so sure she wants this distance. And this is why I was very much against her, guys, because I thought the 8 was tons better closer Via Reggio. And I figured the 4 was going to take a lot of money, and I was not sure about some things. But guys, the 3 is going to go. In fact, the 3 really should be my top pick in this race. But anyway, the 2 is not slow, and the 1's got some speed. I mean, the 4 is the only closer in this race in theory. And it just looks like it could set up great for this 4 again. Although, Kyle, in a 5-horse field, it's hard for me to believe they're going to battle on the lead in a 5-horse field.
But Noah, good point to point out that, all the horses that scratched were all closers. So none of the speed really has been taken out of this race at all. But I mean, to your point, Howard, I agree with you. We've seen it time and time again where, I mean, the 1 shows she can be fast, but I mean, is she really as fast as the 2 and the 3? I don't necessarily know. One thing I found extremely interesting, actually, on the 2, why isn't Jareth on this horse? Jareth was riding the 7 originally for Ethan West and puts Gerardo on this horse for block. I found that I'm not usually one for jockey gymnastics, but that just seemed, especially with the connections and how long Loveberry's been on this horse.
Yep.
It just seemed really weird to me why he chose off or Block chose him off, either one. But like I said, there's just a lot of speed. It could set up really well, but I mean, these small fields, we've seen it time and time again where the speed, like you said, just doesn't battle, just doesn't develop. Yep. And a horse like sitting outside, like Sweet Danny Girl looks to be in this spot, could be very dangerous.
She's run big races before. I mean, and she is. I would be very surprised if Sweet Dan Girl doesn't have the lead. I would be shocked if the 3 doesn't have the lead. The only time that Ouvre went 2 turns, I'm going to have to show all the lines here, was way back in her. Way back in her 3rd career start. AP. I'm missing AP in the PPs, Kyle. But anyway, she ran okay, but I mean, she's a much better horse now. I mean, she's definitely a different horse, but a guy that is sharp as Chris Block, and I'll put us on full screen here, guys. Someone as sharp as Chris Block, there's a reason why he has not sent Ouvre long.
Yep.
And so I know it's a small field, and she classes up, obviously, and yes, she can win, but she's going to be second choice, maybe favorite.
Might even be favorite.
Could be like 8-5. I don't want to touch a source at 8-5. No, when I'm not sure that she's going to go long. She's not going to have the lead in theory either.
Yeah, well, going long is definitely a big question. Another slight question for me was when she got into those higher level stake races like at Keeneland and Churchill. Obviously, those were really tough fields. Twilight Gleaming, Caravel won those races. But she was 4-6-1 and kind of didn't run like she should have. Obviously, now with the scratches, and originally this field's not as good as those. But yeah, just a couple questions on a horse that's going to be low price, like you just said.
I'm going to push back a little bit, Noah. Yeah, I mean, she's not being Twilight Gleaming. I was there that day. And she ran a 90 against Caravel. I mean, isn't that basically what she is? So, okay, she didn't run as well in the Giants Causeway, but that was a really fast pace. And Kyle, you were there too, right? Yeah, you were there. I mean, so actually, I liked her a little bit that day. I think she was my top pick on the show, perhaps, if I remember. She just didn't run well. I don't know, guys. This is just a race that I frankly don't love anymore because I was really, really high on Via Reggio. I'd love to know the story why so many horses scratched. Any of your final thoughts, guys? We'll go to the last race.
I had one shoot. Okay. I forgot it. Sorry, my bad.
We'll blame that on the virus that you've got. Yeah, whatever. Let's go to some comments before we go to last race because we've not gotten a lot of comments here. Horsey Dave agree with Daryl. The 5. Suspicious Horsey might love turf. I didn't think the 5 was turf bred. Dialed in mineshaft. No, actually, has dropped a few. Dropped Game Girl, who was a 16 claimer and not a good one on the turf. I wouldn't exactly say that's a turf horse. No, I don't understand what the 5 is even doing in here. Maybe they know the horse better. I don't know. We'll see.
My point was I remembered it. Sorry, on Ouvre. I'm assuming what Chris Block saw, even though funny enough, it was another small field. There's another field of 5 at Kentucky Downs. We all know that usually that 6.5 plays more like a mile. I'm guessing Chris just saw something in that race that thinks that she can go long. So it's interesting, and that work after that was a maintenance work coming into this race the minute for at Turfway, I assume. That's my guess, is that he saw that she can go long in a race like that, and she has sat off before, so maybe she doesn't need the lead necessarily.
What's annoying to me is I was going to single Via Reggio guys in my pick 5 and use others defensively. Now it's like I got to use 2, 3, and 4. I can't really. Noah, can you separate those 3 in your mind from a horizontal perspective?
Not really. I mean, you
Especially
don't want to, try and pick and choose in a race that's kind of playing out a lot different than it would have. You use 2 and try to toss 1, and then the other one beats you, and then you're kicking yourself in the foot. So, I mean, you're kind of stuck a little bit horizontally trying just to get out with those 3.
We talk about betting structure a lot in this show. We probably should even talk about it more. So, Kyle, I'm going to throw this to you. As someone who likes, I know you played mainly more doubles and pick 3s, but it's a good conversation for pick 4 and pick 5 players.
Yep.
Using 3 horses out of 5 that are going to be, I'm going to throw numbers out there, 7-5, 8-5, and 3-1, 5-2 makes zero sense.
Correct.
From a budget constraint and from a value standpoint. If you are a player that plays horizontally as cavemen, in other words, you don't weigh your opinions. This is why we talk about on the show the ABC method, where you weigh your opinions. Because I'm going to play an ABC, I'm playing a pick 5. Frankly, I'm just going to pick one probably on the top as an A, and the other 2 Bs. You can go 2 Bs and an A, but again, the more lower priced A horses you have, you're really hurting yourself from a value standpoint. I think I'm going to go 4A, 2, 3B. Any thoughts, Kyle, on how you would structure this? You certainly don't want to use 3 or 5 horses in a caveman. It just makes no sense.
Well, and we always talk about you got to find spots to take stands in, especially if this is one where you can really separate one, where you really have an opinion. This is the place to take that stand, because these 5 horses, they're all going to be around that same price, as Howard said. 7-5, 8-5, maybe even like 5-2 could be another. I mean, it's just a matter of you got to find some places to take a stand, and this would be a single. You can play, and if you play caveman, you can play backup tickets. You can go like shorter early and stuff like that while spreading here. But I mean, to your point, Howard, it just makes no sense to take 3 horses when basically you're 3xing your ticket to include a 8-5 and a 5-2 shot in your ticket.
No, I know you play some horizontals with your father. I'm assuming you guys talk about construction together. What would your father, if you guys are doing something together, suggest to people out there? Some people say use all 3 because you'll get through the race for sure, which I agree with. But again, from a value standpoint, you're tripling or doubling your ticket unnecessarily, probably, Noah. So what do you do in this kind of situation? Small field, but 3 of the 5 can win.
Yeah. I am strictly caveman. I really don't play a lot of ABC.
Okay.
I guess it just depends on how I feel going into the race, what kind of opinions I have. If there's a horse that I really like, obviously a single, but like Kyle said, it probably would be smart if you wanted to play like a cheaper ticket and single the horse that you like, and then go skinnier in the early legs on a backup and, use the other 2. Just because, like I said earlier, you don't really want to be kicking yourself if you don't use one of those logical horses.
Yeah, Noah, you and I have talked about this a lot off air. We've been constructing tickets together and helping people with their cave. There's nothing wrong with caveman, by the way. I'm not against caveman tickets. I'm just saying in this situation, to me, it would seem to be more sense to, play some kind of weighted, doesn't have to be an ABC, but some kind of weighted ticket. All right, guys, let's go on to the last race of the sequence. Now, race 5, we're going to talk about this for about 6 or 7 minutes. This race is a loaded baby race. This race, guys, feels a little more like Saratoga to me. And I just want to point out, for those people that are playing San Anita later tonight, the last race is San Anita, race 9. Holy cow. Everyone, if you like 2-year-olds or you're interested in future stars, please take a look at race 9, San Anita. Are you ready for this, guys, for the auction sales prices in race 9 at Santa Anita? You got a $1.3 million buy, $550K, $290K, $900,000K, and a justified colt that's a homebred for Baffert. You got 3 Bafferts in that race. Only the 1.3 million, shockingly, is a Baffert. The homebred's a Baffert. You got a 550, a 290, a 900. The last race at Santa Anita, oh my. And this race at Keeneland, race 5, really loaded.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at it, guys, to end our conversation this morning. Main special weight, of course, $100,000. They're going 6.5. It's for the girls, 2-year-olds. There's the also eligibles are scratched. Excuse me. The morning line favorite, and who knows who's gonna be the favorite? You got to check the board, and you got to check, probables and the will pays. But in the morning line is the number 6, Aunt Fanny, for Wilkes and Hernandez, and Ian Wilkes being favored in the morning line with a first-time starter is completely crazy. So this horse must be special or working well. I'm going to bring up our picks right now, and we are all over the board, predictably, in this race. Kyle, I'm going to let you go first. You're going to go with the 8, Denim and Pearls, Cox and Drew. I know we've got a lot of breeding and stat information to share with our viewers. Talk about Denim and Pearls.
Denim and, I mean, yeah, you said it yourself. If you click on the dam, Howard, and you go to siblings, there's a full brother to this horse that everyone might know. And that's not half. That's a full brother
to
Newgate, who is a very nice horse for Baffert. Of course, run the Robert B. Lewis.
Yes.
It was second in the Sham to Reincarnate and second to Having a Meltdown. So, I mean, you can go all day to that, but again, that's a full brother, just like this, who also is for Cox, granted a claimer, but won by 8.5.
Yeah, what's wrong with that running line at Saratoga?
Nothing. You hate the claiming, but other than that, nothing.
Well, yeah, but 85 winning by 8.
But just a full brother to Newgate pops in this spot, who's, I mean, working absolutely lights out at Keeneland for Cox and Giroux. I mean, I'm in that 6-to-1 price. You're probably not getting that 6-to-1 price. I would be highly intrigued if Denim Pearls was actually 6-to-1 come post time. But I'm very interested in that. And then to Aunt Fanny, I'll let you talk about that. But Aunt Fanny, for those of you that don't know, that's another great name. We're just bringing out the names today. Shout out to any Robots fans out there in the chat. That's a good movie from my childhood. For sure. That's where that comes from. Aunt Fanny, we were using our arm, but
I need some help. I'm clueless.
It's Robots it's a kids movie. It's a cartoon. And there's a character in the movie where she had a fat ass and she was called Aunt Fanny. So it's pretty good. But I'll let you talk about the breeding.
Now, how do we know that's named after? I mean, maybe Ian Wilkes has it. You may have greatly insulted Ian Wilkes or the ownership's favorite aunt.
It's fine. It is what it is. We call my Aunt Fanny, so that's what it comes down to.
Aunt Fanny is, well, let me give some stats. Ian Wilkes, if you pay attention to horse racing, you know that Ian Wilkes is almost an auto toss first out.
Yep.
Ian Wilkes is, where's my percentages? 7%, last 5 years, first time out dirt sprints. He does it once every blue moon. Doesn't happen too often. But not only this horse is morning line favored for a reason. First of all, been working very well. This is a horse by Uncle Mo out of a Seeking the Gold Mare, Ivory Princess. Ivory Princess, very talented, right? 6 of the 8 progeny of the dam have won. Look at the first time starting record, guys. Wow.
Look at the 2-year-old record.
4 for 6. Whoa. And then you look at the progeny. You got Bondurant, who was more long distance, but did win 290,000. Milliken, 170,000. Again, a little bit better, longer distance, but did break his maiden going 7 furlongs at Ellis. 4 Graces, another nice horse, $500,000. Again, a little bit better, longer, 7 furlongs. Oh, look who's here. McCracken was a real nice horse. I mean, guys, this dam is like a super dam. I don't know what she's got in her. They have eggs, right? Whatever. We don't get the science. Anyway, but no, that's your area coming up because you're in horse medicine. She's selling horses. Anyway, guys, we get the point. I don't know. This is a May foal, which is important to note also. That's probably why she's not debuting until now. The distance might, this is 6, right, guys? Sorry to track
Yes.
back.
6.5.
6.5. Okay. The distance might be too short. I'm very curious to see the board again, like you said, Kyle, for the 8. This horse might not win today, but I think she's going to be a very nice horse. I'd be interested to see what the board looks like with Aunt Fanny. A few other quick stats before I get to Noah. Best of all, Chad Brown actually better than you think. People think is sort of more of a grass guy. First time out, last 5 years on dirt sprints, 19% with best of all. Who I don't really love in this spot. Best performance, the dam is more of a turf horse, but I just he's actually not as bad on dirt first time out as you think. And the one is also Bedazzled is also Jenna's Agenda was a nice horse. And is a half to a nice one also. So this is a tricky field. And the reason why I bring all that up is because Noah is going to say, I'm going to stuff all these fancy schmancy first time starters into a locker and go with my sweet gal of mine at 4-1 for a fantastic California based.
I was going to say West Coast bias.
And Michael, what's that?
West Coast bias.
Maybe. I don't know. This horse was fast.
No,
was 8-1 last time at Churchill and just lost by a neck. Does have something very important, Noah, that very few of these have in this race, and that is the Big E experience.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm keying on. Just anytime with firsters, you've always got questions about whether they have the ability to run or not. But this horse is proven, and I watched that last race. She really ran a winning race. Held off some closers. The only closer she didn't hold off was West Sunset, who was absolutely flying. But yeah, in a race where I didn't really have a huge strong opinion, I'm going to go with those, old-time California connections.
There's nothing wrong with that. My negative, Kyle, here, and I've got the 9 in the mix. I'm using a lot. I don't like the fact she was 8-1, Noah, first time out. And that fig doesn't really blow me away. This kind of feels like the kind of race where someone's going to run like a high 70s, close to an 80 buyer. If any of these firsters can run, I just have a feeling they're better than the 9. But it's an outside post. She's got speed. She's got experience. This is the kind of horse that I'm just trying to beat. But I respect Noah's opinion. That's the great thing about horse racing. Again, and handicapping.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with. I think I like the experience. Obviously, Angle. I have the horse in third. Looks to be fast. I also just like that our firsters. I'd be much more against, as we all talk about always, if they were more towards the inside. But the fact that Aunt Fanny and Denim and Pearls have drawn more outside posts, I'm much more inclined to go somewhere, especially with horses that are as well meant as they look, drawn to the outside.
No, I'm going to throw one more philosophical question now to you because I like asking you guys these questions and help the viewers at home. The longer the sprint distance, the more that favors experienced horses / first-time starters, or does it favor – I'm not phrasing this very well. Let's say you got a maiden race that's 5.5 versus 7. Would you prefer a first-time starter in that spot in general, or would you prefer an experienced horse?
I would probably prefer the horse with experience. A lot of firsters we see, the connections, are looking forward to them going longer, just kind of getting the race under their belt. So with this race, obviously Aunt Fanny's going to want longer. Even Denim and Pearls, Kyle's pick might want longer. So even though Sweet Gal of Mine proved, to have that early foot, you really never know with these horses that are liking to go longer. Ideally, they're going to do their best running later.
I actually agree with that, which might make my picks here a little bit contradictory because the 6.5 is sort of the in-between distance. So I don't know. Guys, it's going to be a fantastic early pick 5. Very, very briefly, I'm not going to show the PPs. I'm not going to show the picks on the screen. Kyle, your very quick thoughts on the Perryville. Where Verify win?
Yes.
Noah, Verify in the Perryville?
I'm going to lean towards no.
And who do you prefer?
Dr. Venkman, another California horse.
Very, very talented. And the Raven Run Grade 2. I didn't actually look at scratches for either one of those races.
No.
Oh, no. Don't tell me.
No, Howard.
Oh, wait a minute. What does that mean?
Oh no!
Oh, nom de plume!
It's over.
Nom de plume!
Oh,
Oh man, does that suck? Oh, my cheeky long shot of the day. Nom de plume, the 3 is out of the Raven run, and actually the fast 2 on the inside.
Yeah.
This is going to be Vava or Alvastar probably, maybe Dazzling Blue. I don't know. My long shot is out of that race. The 3 Nom de plume, that sucks. Was anyone out of the verifying race, by the way?
Not that I saw it, unless I'll have to look again.
It doesn't look like it.
No.
All right, quick thoughts, real quick, Kyle. Then we got to go on the Raven run now.
Well, I like Vava a lot in the Raven run, and now sitting an easier chip, I do it too. But all the speeds are outside, so hopefully she can sit a trip.
Oh, I'm sorry, Raven run.
I originally had Vava. With all that speed, I think she just sets an ultra nice trip.
With some scratches from the inside, I actually would look at the 8 and or the 9 a little bit also. Now I'm going to have to revisit my picks. I went and got our Keeneland Power picks. Obviously, they're going to change, but I send them out before. Guys, great job as always. Tomorrow morning on Keeneland Today, Sunday, I will have Patrick Kunzel of the HHH Racing Podcast at Benton and Boozin show. So please check that out. Kyle, really appreciate it. Noah, thanks a lot. This has been Keeneland Today for Saturday, October 21st. Please subscribe. Go to our YouTube page. We have an incredible amount of Breeders' Cup action coming up. Guys, I'm going to hit the golf course and turn off my phone. Good luck to everyone at Keeneland on Saturday. Today, crush your bets this afternoon. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.